Good evening and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Dramatic Society, the CADS. And tonight I'm going to do a tasting of a new release from Wolfburn. It's the Wolfburn Dounreay 12-year-old, bottled at 46%. It's to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Dounreay coming to Caithness, which of course is where Wolfburn is based. And I think, although it's labelled, it's got a nice bottle with Dounreay, the fast reactor, the famous ball on the cover. I think it is actually the same as their 12-year-old. Because if you go on the Wolfburn site and look at the specs of this whisky and Wolfburn's own tasting notes, they're exactly the same tasting notes and specs for their 12-year-old, which they released in July, the first 12-year-old age statement, part of their core range. So this is limited to 960 bottles. And whether you're a whisky collector or someone with a personal connection to Dounreay, it is a bit of a piece of history, 70 years since Dounreay came to Caithness. And that in itself is a whole other story, which has been featured in a recent book by James Gunn and the former editor of the John Goat Journal, Ian Grant, which celebrates and also goes through the history of Dounreay and its effects on Caithness. This whisky matured for 12 years in hand-selected casks at Wolfburn Distillery, and it's the 12-year-old, which I think this is in another type of packaging. It's a flagship of the Wolfburn range. It's crafted from spirit in equal parts in hand-selected second fill Oloroso sherry butts and ex-bourbon casks, and matured for 12 years under on-site warehouses. And they have a bit of lightly peated spirit for this one, lightly peated barley for this one. So I don't have the actual 12-year-old to make a side-by-side comparison to see if it is the same whiskey. But I have reviewed, about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I reviewed the cognac cask that was released in the summer, and also the 2025 anniversary 12-year-old, which was a cask strength, fully matured in Oloroso sherry butt. So this one, let's see what we have. So it's 46% ABV, mix of refill, or rather second fill Oloroso sherry butts and ex-bourbon casks. And it has nice tide line there, and some nice tears as well. And that's, as you probably know if you watched a few of my videos, and ones featuring Wolfburn, I've had a bit of a mixed relationship with Wolfburn. I didn't much like the 10-year-old. I very much enjoyed the cognac cask one, and I did enjoy the 12-year-old 2025 anniversary cask, a single cask one. And this one, it does open with it's like a sweet and warm landscape, and it's reminiscent of a dessert buffet, and you get plenty of honey in this, and there's a nice sugary touch that recalls rather like walking into a French patisserie in full swing. And if you go to a local fruit and veg retailer not far from where I'm sitting in my house, called LRM. Uh, they do a selection of fruit, and one of the things they have is a nashi pear, and this has the refined freshness of nashi pear. It's light, elegant, and it's almost aristocratic. And you get deeper tones of plum jam, which adds warmth and comfort. And you get toffee and creamy caramel appearing as well. And it's like liquidized childhood treats. Almost like it's someone's distilled toffee poppets straight into the glass. It's charming and inviting without being overbearing. There's a lovely mix of sweet and floral aromas. And there's a very, very subtle trace of peat smoke. Well, try the mouth on this one. And the elegance continues, but there's a slight twist. The fruitiness recedes a bit, and that makes more way for a more grainy and malty character. It feels honest and robust, and it's a reminder that whiskey is always, at its core, a story of water, malt, and wood. But alongside that, there's a broad layer of vanilla. It's creamy, which is unmistakably a gift from the bourbon cask. And again, the toffee poppets impression emerges. Milk chocolate, caramel, a bit of hazelnut. Yeah, you could almost be like in a topic bar here. That's a trio that never gets old, and sadly they've discontinued the topic bar. But if you like topics, you'll like this. The texture is creamy, full-bodied and well-rounded, and it doesn't leave any sharp edges. It's not a whiskey that's aiming to shock you. It's more of a gentleman in the glass, extending a warm handshake instead of a fist. There's a wonderful depth of flavour, hints of honey and burnt sugar mixed with soft spices. And throughout there's an ever-present sherry sweetness, but not overpoweringly so. And the finish brings the sherry quietly onto the stage. It's not a dramatic entrance, but a subtle aside adds spice and a touch of oak bitterness to structure the finale. It's a medium length. It's not fleeting, but it's not endless. It's just long enough to leave an impression without overstaying its welcome. There's also a maritime nuance, which is a bit surprising. but just there in the background, a faint sea breeze drifting through as a final reminder that Thurso lies not far from the ocean, the Pentland Firth to be more precise. This is lingering and delicious, with traces of dried fruit and caramel remaining until the very end. I'm going to add 5 drops of water to this. My brother gave me this sample, and this afternoon I made some. I took a little drop of it, a couple of teaspoons, and made some whiskey fudge, which we'll sample in a moment. But let's see what we have with water on the nose. And on top of the traditional Wolfburn smells like pine wood and soft maritime notes, there's some bit extra. I'm picking up sticky Nutella notes, hazelnut, and it's like having M&Ms melting in the palm of your hand. I'm dropping some brand names here, but it's lovely, nutty, and chocolatey smells. We'll try the mouth. It has an oily and herbal palate with an added hint of smoke and something like tree bark. Tree bark, well, I admit never having tried tree bark, but it makes me think of it. I'm picking up some whiffs of glue. It's quite austere, but it's artful. And now that Wolfburn is becoming seriously mature, you sort of turn to thinking, well, which malt whiskey would you compare it with that you're very familiar with? It's difficult to think of something exactly. There's an interesting juxtaposition of old and new in the marketing of Wolfburn. There's a fond reverence for the history of the previous distilling operations. The website and the social media presence for the label is decidedly forward thinking. It got here on this glass, which is a Wolfburn glass, the mythical sea wolf. And it's quite an attractive packaging that Wolfburn do, which provides insight into the whiskey in intimate detail without becoming overly complicated. It does state on the bottle and on the box it's non-coloured, non-chill filtered, the type of casking, a bit about the distillery. But I do remember reading something a few years ago of Wolfburn aiming for a Springbank-esque profile for the whiskey. This does have a slight maritime vibe, but not as yet the Campbelltown funk. And the finish is medium long, soft and creamy. Milk chocolate, malt, heather, and dried pears. I'm going to try my tablet. Mm, mm, mm. And after a few sips and moments of reflection, what remains is the realization that 46% ABV can deliver remarkable presence without aggression. This Wolfburn 12-year-old Dounreay is powerful yet composed. It's layered without being overly complicated. The bourbon casks clearly take the lead, while the sherry plays the role of a graceful accompanist. And perhaps that's the point. Balance is achieved not by perfectionism, but by intelligent restraint. In the end, this single malt is refreshingly honest and representative of its category. It's not spectacular, it's not a world record breaker, but it's a good solid Highlander that unites technical precision with drinkable charm. The bourbon casks are the dominant force, delivering vanilla, toffee, and creamy sweetness. The sherry cask acts more subtly, adding spice, a touch of oak, and a maritime nuance. If you're looking for a whiskey that's approachable, creamy, and yet quietly complex, you'll find it here, and perhaps even a smile when the memory of toffee poppets returns. Thank you for listening.